So I was not expecting Blizzard to release Diablo 4, to be honest, because it's been 7 years after Diablo 2. You would think 2020, 2012, sorry. It's been a while, but Blizzard can do support, and they still do make some updates, from time to time to Diablo franchise. So I thought they might have another expansion, basically by retaining the same game basis, but just maybe one more character and or maybe some more story stuff going on with them, or even something free. No, so they announced a new game. Here's the thing though. They showed the initial trailer. It was like jaw-dropping. It suggested as if there's going to be a change in genre or just a change in the way the gameplay is going to happen. So the trailer was horrifying, bloody, gory, dark, as the developers kept reiterating on that, which is basically what players wanted for Diablo 3. So, and they delivered it in the trailer. Then they showed gameplay, and it was a classic Blizzard tradition in that the trailer is not actually reflective of what is going to happen in the actual game in terms of what you do and what you play and how you play. They called it a different engine. I'm sure there are differences there, but to be honest, um, this was just some upgrade, and pretty much same gameplay was retained. In other words, there's still this isometric view from the top, and this is a big contrast to the trailer in that the trailer was so immersive. I was so impressed that when I saw the gameplay afterwards, I said, "Oh, what? That's the same game," which pretty much is. There are again updated models, and there is even a more serious tone. I think we won't be getting those fancy unicorns and such that Diablo 3 peoples had, Vimshire or something like that. I forgot the name. Um, but at the same time, it's just monsters after monsters are encountered and you slay them. That's the gameplay. There's verticality now. You climb stairs or you jump to a lower, basically, segment. Stairs, by the way, vertical stairs. It's not just going down and up in stairs. And you can basically cast a spell to a lower segment and such. But yeah, that's it. um, yeah, there's still the same type. There are still the same type of monsters, shamans, goatmen, fallen, and they still behave the same way. So there is some upgrade in visuals, in graphics. Um, yeah, that was it in terms of gameplay. I mean, even the number of equipment and such doesn't really change. So it's like just an upgrade in the game, which is not abnormal if you think of other franchises or just the previous Diablo games. Everything was isometric. But I wished after watching the trailer that, oh, are they going to pull a reboot in terms of gameplay, just like God of War did? So God of War 4 is not even called God of War 4. In the title it says God of War. There was a drastic change in that the camera angle is now the third person, but now closer instead of that top view. And that gives a much more immersive gameplay. Of course, you could have gone first person, but that's not, of course, happening with with Diablo. But I was hoping that after that trailer, they would have like pulled something like God of War there, and then suddenly now we are not maybe facing that many monsters, but the monsters are now more clever, right? So fewer interactions, but those interactions are higher quality. Whereas instead in the current game, you just hit the monsters and monsters, maybe you might push them back in certain animations, but otherwise the more stronger monsters aren't affected. They do their move, you make your move, and it's turned into a mostly a number game. And Diablo 4 is pretty much the same number game. And the way they mentioned that some characters are returning, they called them Barbarian, Sorceress, and then Druid, and then they showed the gameplay trailer. I thought the first character that they showed was Barbarian, with some horns, with some basically fur clothing on top, and I said, what a weird Barbarian. And then the third guy was black and with some longer hair, and I said, wow, what a weird Druid. Turns out I got it wrong. The first one was actually a druid, even though the way they counted during the developer panel, starting with barbarian. These are the same characters, right? Okay, druid was a very wanted character, but sorcerers or barbarian, we have them in a sense since Diablo 2. Diablo 3 had, wizard, same thing. Okay, so it is, again, there will be 5 characters released just like in Diablo 2, just like in Diablo 4, which is just a rehash of everything that we have seen so far, right? Where is the revolution? This is more of an evolution in that graphics are maybe a little bit better. Diablo 3, when it was released, didn't even have, I think, anti-aliasing, and some more complex physics came later. So this would be a more probably visually detailed game, but it's still isometric. Still a lot of monsters to kill. How many monsters have I killed? I don't know. I guess there's a number there. Yeah, it's the same old. I think Diablo 4 looks like what basically just Diablo 3 should have been when it was released in the spring of 2012. Like, I think it was released in May 2012. Because it already looked a little bit outdated when it was released there. And Diablo 4 is what it should have been basically in that year. Now they are releasing what should have been released in 2012 in 2000, maybe 22, maybe in 2023, we don't know. It's a blizzard soon, not even blizzard soon, I guess that was the word there. So 3 years from now, 4 years from now, you name it, is going to be when we have PlayStation 5, Xbox Scarlet. They didn't name it, but they said it's being developed for a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which means there might be some upgrade in visuals when the next generation consoles are. But by that time, they're released, the next generation consoles are here for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, because the next generation comes in 2020. Yeah, I wish they spent less or no time on Diablo Immortal, and Diablo Immortal is still being developed, still not released. It is going to probably bridge the gap in between your craving for some different type of monsters are going to be quenched by playing your game on the phone. It is just totally unnecessary. I don't know if they are really going to succeed. I guess they are, because mobile phones are the thing now, so they might be successful there with that too. The trailer was so good, and apparently the main villain is Lilith, which is weird. What happened to Lilith? I can't remember in the lore. Yes, she basically mated with Inarius, but there were other demons and other angels that they mixed with, and they created Sanctuary. And now, what the hell is she going to do in Sanctuary? I mean, right? I mean, people are now discussing she created Sanctuary, so she shouldn't come to destroy it. And in fact, the guy who apparently is the son of Lilith, Ratma, is saying, save us, not saying destroy everything. So probably she's going to mess with the world and such. But again, so these are many years after the events of Diablo 3. And aren't there now, isn't there the great Nephilim who basically saved the planet, and also other Nephilim or the disciples of that Nephilim? So why does the world have to be in chaos again? Yes, I know there was so much destruction, but also there should be some, strong Nephilim there, left and right, to fight these forces and such. And why is it that the angels had a big hit, or have taken a big hit, but demons are not really suffering any losses, right? This is not explained. Are they simply mass produced, whereas angels are not mass produced? Doesn't make sense, right? But I get it from an art style and the storyline. It wasn't like there were angels and demons fighting, but that only was known to happening some place in the background, and the humans were always desperate there and not much getting basically help from angels. So this is going to be the same thing. So it's basically trying to replicate the success of Diablo 2 with the approach of Diablo 2 and giving us what Diablo 3 should have been. But it is coming more than a decade late. That's frustrating. That's sad. I wanted more. I wanted something new. The trailer, I wish they can bring a different genre. What if Diablo was a horror game? That would have been probably first person. Or what if Diablo was more like, the journey of a main character and some sidekicks, and there's always focus on the Diablo or the villains, but there's no focus on the player, right? And that's the good and the bad part of the Diablo franchise. So you are pretty much nobody. So the demons are, and the evil is important, and we have to fight them again. The same way, monster after monster, right? There isn't visually too much difference between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, but I'm so bored with Diablo 3 and I'm not really playing it. So that's why, to me, it suggested like an expansion, some DLC or something, rather than a different game, even though I know it is. Now there won't be auction house, right? At least that, and there will be some PvP. I never even bothered to try PvP in Diablo 3. We'll see how it goes. Well, I guess we can give it a try when it is released. Right?